Mets have spent the second half of the season trying to get over the hump, trying to find the right path to success. The fans keep on coming out and waiting for the Mets to turn it around. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Colorado Rockies. Tuesday Night Baseball on SNY is presented by Citi. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets play the second game of their four-game series against the Colorado Rockies. The offense has not been clicking for the Mets lately, and Terry Collins has been trying all sorts of things to try and get them going. Today he tries a new tack. Ike Davis, for the first time in his career, will bat third in the batting order.
Well, you know, Ike is more of a cleanup hitter. The Mets have been struggling offensively, scoring runs. In their 18 games this month of August, 2/3 of the games they've scored 3 runs or less. So as a manager, sometimes you just go in there and you grab a bag and you just shuffle up the names and you pick it out. And I'm sure Ike came out third, and they're going to try something different today.
Meanwhile, no news yet on Johan Santana, who had an MRI on his aching back today. So for the moment, he's penciled in for Thursday, but that could change. Chris Young takes the mound tonight, and with the new 6-man rotation, Young will be pitching on 6 days rest.
Well, he's 3-6 on the year. It's his 14th start. 5-3 lifetime against Colorado. Oh, interesting stat, 0-3 at home this year with a 4.88 earned run average in 5 starts. And he's given up 10 home runs this year, 7 of them here at Citi, which is still a very large ballpark.
That last time out, a remarkable start, 12 base runners but no runs against the Reds in 5 2/3. And for Colorado, Jhoulys Chacín has been on the disabled list for 3.5 months, comes back tonight.
Well, last year Chacín was 11-14 in 31 starts. Shoulder inflammation put him on the DL way back in May 1st. This is his first start. A big left-hand lineup against him. Why? Right-hand hitters hitting .385 against him this year. 6 home runs of the 7 he's given up.
So the Mets trying to get even in the series with the Rockies, looking toward the skyline. Mets and Rockies from Citi Field. All the action coming your way on SNY. SNY is brought to you by Citi, proud sponsor of the New York Mets. By Cholula Hot Sauce, the flavorful hot sauce with the iconic wooden cap. By Geico. By StubHub. Be here in person the next time the Mets take the field. Head to StubHub and choose your seats today. By your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. And by AT&T, rethink possible. Merengue Night returns to Citi Field this Friday, August 24th, when the Mets host the Astros. Sergio Vargas headlines the postgame concert, presented by Budweiser and sponsored by Delta Airlines and Atlantic City. Log on to Mets.com. And here is your Mets upcoming schedule. You can listen to every game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Matt Harvey pitches tomorrow night in Game 3 of the series. Day game on Thursday. Then the Astros come in over the weekend before the Mets embark on a 9-game trip to Philadelphia, Miami, and St. Louis. Tonight it's the Mets and the Rockies as the Mets try and get even in the series. Cotton Candy, Keith's favorite.
Oh.
It's a sticky mess. Evening it beckons. First pitch coming up. Baseball on SNY is presented by Citi. Welcome to Citi Tuesdays, where Citi credit and debit card holders enjoy savings and benefits at Citi Field. Learn more at Mets.com/Citi Tuesdays. Subscribe to MLB.tv today to take advantage of new low pricing and see every remaining Mets out-of-market game live online and on your favorite devices in HD quality. Visit Mets.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Let's check out the Rockies starting lineup, brought to you by Hyundai. Ramon Hernandez, who didn't start last night, behind the plate for Colorado. He's in the cleanup spot. The Rockies decimated by injuries right now. No Todd Helton, no Troy Tulowitzki, no Carlos Gonzalez is away on bereavement, should be back tomorrow. No Jason Giambi, get the idea. And so the Rockies, who managed 3 runs and 6 hits, enough to win last night, take on Chris Young and the Mets tonight.
Well, Chris Young had a kind of an interesting start, an unusual start his last time out. He went 5 2/3 at Cincinnati and gave up 4 walks, something he doesn't normally do. He throws strikes. And that's the Caesar starting pitcher for the New York Mets. And now we'll go shift over, folks, to the Lexus Mets defense. So Ike has made 7 errors at first base. He's also hitting in the third spot. Valdespines in left field. Baxter and Torres and has been kind of the fixtures out there for Terry Collins in the outfield.
And as much speed as possible in the outfield tonight with Chris Young, the most severe fly ball pitcher in the major leagues, going tonight. Charlie Blackmon will lead things off for Colorado. Blackmon just called up the other day, still looking for his first hit of the season. Had some time with the Rockies last year. Blackmon filling in right field. Tyler Colvin, who had been playing right, filling in at first base with Todd Helton out for the year, and that's kind of how it's going for Jim Tracy and the Rockies right now. But they've been playing well with all these injuries. They've won 9 of their last 14. Young's first pitch, Blackmon tries to bunt his way on, and that's strike 1.
Well, we mentioned at the top that the Mets have been struggling to score runs here, and that was probably why Terry Collins last night probably opted in that late night ball game to pinch hit for R.A. Dickey in a 1-1 ball game, because runs have been tough to come by.
Dickey went 7, pitched brilliantly, didn't get a decision last night. R.A. also took over the major league strikeout lead last night. It's the latest in a season that a Met has ever led the major leagues in strikeouts since David Cohn 20 years ago. Well,
he's going to probably, if he's going to stay healthy, he's going to strike out 200. And Phil Niekro, I believe, was the last knuckleballer to strike out 200. Don't quote me on that. But I know that Phil struck out 200 a couple of years. We'll get old Dave on that one.
Before we get the quotation marks out?
Yes.
We can put those in later.
I know for a fact, because I play Stratomatic, and I would look at Phil's card, and it was a 200 strikeout year. I know there was.
Well, Phil pitched a lot, you know. I mean, he had a year when he went 25-20.
You're right.
So you pitch enough innings, you're going to notch some strikeouts. But you didn't think of Knucksie as a strikeout pitcher the same way as you can now think of Dickey this year. And Blackmon goes down on strikes. Good fastball by Young for the first out of the game.
Well, Blackmon looking for his first hit, now 0 for 10, and chases.
And nice to see Young changing the plane with his fastball. Normally pitches up in the zone, but there goes down to get the strikeout.
Well, he can pitch down, but he's got to be at the knees. He's like Sid Fernandez. He can't be in between. He's got to be up high in the letters, shoulder high, and on the knees, not in between.
Here's Jordan Pacheco, who had an 8-game hitting streak stopped last night. He takes a fastball for a strike. Pacheco has played most of the third base for the Rockies this year, having a good year, hitting a .308.
So how about this? Phil Niekro in 1977 struck out 262, led the National League in strikeouts.
Wow. There's a curveball for a strike, and it's 0-2. They're the strikeout leaders in the National League.
It's quite a group up there.
Well, Kershaw just keeps pitching better and better, but he lost last night a great pitcher's duel with Madison Bumgarner of the Giants as the Giants took over first place in the West. There's that high fastball from Young, and he's got back-to-back strikeouts to start the night.
Well, they won it away. You see Tolley set up on the outside corner, but if you're going to miss with it, you might as well miss on the other half of the plate, up and in. Threw it right by him.
So 2 out and nobody on as Young fans the first 2 hitters. Now Dexter Fowler, who's having himself a career year, 8th in the National League in batting, 5th in the league in on-base percentage at .391. And he's hitting over 300 from both sides of the plate. And he takes it wide from Young, 1-0. Chris has 5 career wins against Colorado, but he hasn't faced the Rockies since 2009. Of course, he used to pitch in the National League West for San Diego. And he gets that one in for a strike, 1-1.
Well, for Fowler, this is kind of a breakout year for him. He came up in 08 for a cup of coffee. Late, but really 09 was his first year. 262 lifetime hitter coming in. Hit 2 in 09, hit 266 in 135 games, 260 in 2010, 266 last year. So this is a bust out year.
Ramon Hernandez batting cleanup, waiting on deck. There you see the numbers for Chris Young against the Rockies. Here's the 1-2 and the breaking ball in there. Strike 3 called, and Young strikes out the side in the opening inning. Terrific start for Chris Young. Mets come to bat with no score. Lineup for tonight brought to you by Geico. Mike Baxter slides into the leadoff spot. Ike Davis bats third for the first time ever. That's put every available left-handed bat in the lineup against Jhoulys Chacín, whose last start in the big leagues was on the 1st of May.
Well, the 24-year-old right-hander, like I said, 11-14 last year, throws a little bit of everything out there. If you looked at the percentage of pitches that he has and how many times he throws, he's not a guy that is predominantly fastball. He mixes all of his pitches in.
Not overpowering, but with a lot of movement. Mike Baxter grounds one to the right side, and DJ LeMahieu makes the play on Baxter for the first out.
Well, we'll take a look at the Coors Light Colorado Rocky defense, and they are most in the National League in errors, and with a pitching staff that has an ERA over 5, that will get you in the cellar in the National League West, and most of it. So, but this is a team that really is just riddled with injury, as Gary said. Troy Tulowitzki, the Gold Glove shortstop, out. Carlos Gonzalez, the Gold Glove left fielder, out. So they have 2 gloves, 2 Sterling gloves are out, or Golden Gloves.
Here's Tulo, might be getting a rehab assignment by the weekend if he checks out later this week. He's been out since the end of May with a groin injury. Had to have surgery on that groin muscle.
So that if he had surgery, then he had to pull it from the bone. I mean, it's just.
It's kind of like the one Piazza had.
Yep.
0-2 to Ruben Tejada. Moved down to the number 2 spot in the batting order tonight. Ruben has gone hitless in his last 11 at bats, and there is Ike Davis, your new number 3 hitter for the evening.
Hey, 3's a lucky number. Trust me.
You hit third a few times. Chacín has come out throwing strikes. And Tejada hits a 1-hopper, knocked down by Pacheco. Plenty of time to get him and throw him out. 2 away.
Well, nice play by Pacheco. Sorry, Gare. Hot corner over there. You want to stay in front. His ball was ripped. Went down on his both knees to get his body in front of that. Nice play.
Pacheco was a catcher in the minor leagues, just learning how to play third base. And that's the way they used to teach you to play third.
Yep.
Knock it down with your chest.
Yes, sir.
These days, you're more likely to see guys back off and play that ball in the backhand. So here's Davis. Ike 1 for 3 last night, up to 220 on the year. The highest his batting average has been really all season. 22 home runs to lead the team, and he takes a fastball for a strike from Chacín. David Wright hitting cleanup tonight.
40 games left in the season. Ike has 67 RBIs. He's got a shot to drive in 90.
And that's a rocket to center field, but right at Fowler, who picks it off.
Wow.
Before it hits the ground to retire the side. So Ike hit a bullet, but Chacín's through the first inning with only 7 pitches. Look at that sunset.
They're the best.
That's our town and our sun.
Someone's up high, risking their life to bring that photo to you. That visual.
We have a little problem in the batter's box, and the grounds crew has come out. They're going to do a little work before Ramon Hernandez leads off in the second inning, sprinkling the diamond dust around the batter's box and the catcher's area. I guess they put a little too much water on the field before the game began.
Because there's certainly no rain.
I'm not sure who complained about this, by the way. Each team has already had their turn at bat. Each team went down 1-2-3 in the first inning. And all of a sudden, there's a problem.
And by the way, the home plate umpire, Adrian Johnson, did make the correct call last night in that very close play at first base off Valdespin that really dashed the Met chances of tying that ball game up.
It was in the bottom of the 8th inning last night on a terrific play by Tyler Colvin to stop that ball from going down the line. So now Ramon Hernandez can lead off the second against Young, who struck out the side in the first. Hernandez hitting just .214, and he takes a strike. Ramon Hernandez now 36 years old. He's a lifetime .266 hitter, 165 career home runs. He's had a very solid major league career. Now he's pretty much the backup to Willian Rosario, who started last night.
And Rosario, his 19 home runs are on the bench, but all 4 of Hernandez's home runs have been off right-handers this year.
Young looks like he has a good curveball going tonight.
He has an excellent breaking ball, and when he has that going, he's not the kind of guy that can get by with just a fastball changeup. He needs that breaking ball.
And he gets him with a high fastball, so Young has struck out the first 4 batters to face him tonight.
There you go. Out of the strike zone.
Well, Young was already the first Met pitcher this year to strike out the side in the first inning. More than a year ago, Chris Capuano, May of last season, the last to strike out the side in the first. And now Young has added 1 for good measure. So now Tyler Colvin, who had a big hand in the Rockies' win last night, the home run that tied the game against Dickey, and then that fine defensive play in the 8th to preserve the Rockies' lead. Colvin has been filling in at first base with Todd Helton out for the year with a hip injury, and he's done a nice job there, and he's been hitting as well. But his home run last night was his first since the All-Star break. He pops this one up. Valdespin comes in to call, and so the first fair ball hit against Chris Young results in a fly ball to left. Here's that play with Valdespin last night.
And we just had a great shot. Nice play by Tyler Colvin, who's an outfielder. And we talked about the pitcher last night, which was Belisle, getting over late, and what a shot. I mean, the cameraman Johnny on the spot right there, and Valdespin was lucky he didn't get thrown out.
And Terry Collins got there just in time to save him. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Andrew Brown, the left fielder, and he takes a strike. Brown last night 0 for 4. This is his 8th start since he's been called up. Filling in for Carlos Gonzalez in left field, and he hooks one on the ground to short, and Tejada right in front of it. Makes the play to get Brown. 6 up and 6 down for Chris Young to start the night. No score to the bottom of the second. David Wright leads off the home second inning. David 1 for 3 last night, a double and a run scored. And he takes up and in from Jalees Chassin. First pitch that Chassin is thrown out of the strike zone.
Well, David in search of his 200th career home run.
It's this one of the air, well to left center. Back goes Fowler to the warning track. And right back at the fence, he makes the leaping grab at the top of the wall. Now, Fowler showed no sense of urgency. He knew he had it all the way.
Well, he's a very tall kid, lanky, and look at this. He made it look easy. That ball, that's robbed him of a home run. Let's see. That ball's out of here.
Certainly looked like it was going over. And Fowler made a very nice play.
That was my impersonation of your home run call. It's very sedate.
It's very good. I think we can work together to get you up to speed. Here's Daniel Murphy, who was on base 3 times last night and drove in the Mets' only run.
Well, David attacks the first pitch here, and the ball just gets in on him enough. See the point of contact here. Oh, see that too? He did not have his grain lined up properly. I'll tell you what I mean in a second. When you always were taught as a kid when you tapped home plate, watch, if he could freeze on contact, it'd be great. Look at this. That's against the grain. So how is the bat going to be pliable? You follow me? All right, I'm going to have to explain that.
In the triumvirate, it goes off the glove of Brown. It's a fair ball, and Murphy winds up at second base. Brown, Pacheco, and Herrera all in the area. Andrew Brown, the left fielder, taking charge and simply dropping the ball. It'll be an error charge to Brown.
Well, he's got to call off the shortstop, and it doesn't hear him to the last moment.
Now the question is, was the ball actually in fair territory? And apparently it was, even though Brown's body was in foul territory. It's where the ball is, not where the player is.
Correct.
When the ball hit his glove.
So miscommunication there.
Fielding Culbreth, the third base umpire, makes the call. No argument from the Rockies, and the Mets have the first base runner of the night. On the 92nd error of the year for the Rockies, the most in the National League. Now Valdespin, who's hitless in his last 11 at bats, averaged down to 243 on the year. Murphy at second and 1 out. And he grounds one down to first, and Colvin handles it himself. Murphy will move to third, but now there are 2 out. Let's go back to David Wright's bat. How do you want the ball to hit the bat, if not right on the grain?
Well, we can get a picture of me in the booth. It's better for me to explain. There's the contact. We're going to show you the freeze. Now, check out. I'm going to show you where he... Here we go on camera. This is where he hit the ball. Right here. Can you see that? You've got the grain in the bat right here. The grain goes through in different levels through the bat. It makes the bat pliable. It's a white ash. And when you do this, you're going against it. The grain's now like this. Am I being clear? So there's no pliability. Follow me? So the big thing you always were taught as a kid, and this is going to be foul. Foul ball, beautiful. So when you got to the plate, you always tapped home plate and you have the label up. Put your hands there. Now the label should be down, so when you make contact, where's my grain? You follow me? See, he loses all the pliability of the bat.
So instead of having the label up, he has the label back.
Yes.
Toward the backstop.
Right. So you definitely don't want to do that.
Another ground ball to first. This one fair off the bat of Torres, and that retires the side. So Chassin works around the error by his left fielder Brown. Each team hitless as we go to the third. only 3 Mets to play in every game of the 69 and 73 World Series.
Only 3 Mets.
So they had to be there in 69
every
for
game.
all 5 games, and
could be a reliever.
73 for all 7 games.
Could be a reliever.
No, it's not a reliever.
So it's got to be everyday players.
Daryl Knowles of the A's in 73 became the first reliever ever to pitch in all 7 games.
Right.
No Met did that.
Correct. Very good memory here.
DJ LeMahieu hits one out to right field, and that sends Baxter back, and he squeezes it. That's 7 in a row retired by Chris Young to start the night. 1 out and nobody on, and these teams playing as though they're in a big hurry tonight. Jonathan Herrera will be the batter. Herrera had the probably the most important play of the game for the Rockies last night, a push bunt single that turned into a 2-base situation when Josh Edgin tried to shovel the ball to first and threw it away. And there's a curveball for a strike to Herrera. Fly ball, shallow center. Who's going to call it? Tejada does and grabs it, and Herrera retired, and quickly there are 2 out. Well, last night R.A. Dickey retired the first 8 Rockies, and the pitcher Alex White got the first hit against him. Now Jhoulys Chacín, who's 3 for 8 on the year, 147 lifetime hitter, will bat with 2 out and nobody on. Each team looking for their first hit. And Chacín takes a strike, and both Chacín and Young are just pouring over strike after strike, leaving the hitters barely time to breathe.
Well, it's good.
What it does is it gets everybody up there swinging eventually.
Oh, there was a this week in baseball. I always like to look on the sport page is that this date in baseball, and they have something that happened, and it was an interesting one. Babe Ruth hit his 600th home run in 1931 on this date against the Browns. The very first World Series at Williamsport, Little League World Series in 1947 was today.
Chacín pops it up. Another chance for Tejada. And so Chris Young perfect through 3 with only 27 pitches thrown. Quite a beginning. With insider info and opinion, plus heated debate on all the latest New York sports news in the Wheelhouse, presented by Pepsi, tomorrow at 5:30 only on SNY. Jhoulys Chacín making his first start since the 1st of May. When he first came up with the Rockies, they looked like they really had something, and last year he got off to a terrific start first half of the year. But since the All-Star break last year, Chassin's made 21 starts, and in that span he's gone 3-13 with a 5.14 ERA.
Well, his issues have always been his control. 87 walks last year in 194 innings.
Josh Thole leads off in the home third inning. Thole 0 for 2 last night. Just 8 hits in his last 50 at bats. His average down to 254 for the year. Young and Baxter to follow for the Mets in the bottom of the third. And Thole takes off the plate, ball 1. There's a call strike to Josh, and it's 1-1. Well, we've been waiting all day for the results of the MRI performed on Johan Santana's back, which would determine whether he would be able to start the game here on Thursday afternoon. And a ground ball hit toward the middle, and sliding over is LeMahieu to make the play on Thole, 1 away. We are now told there are not going to be any results of Johan's MRI available today, so we'll have to wait till tomorrow to find out. Yesterday was a kind of a roller coaster day. First, the Mets announcing that they were not shutting Santana down, that he would make the start Thursday and they'd evaluate him start by start. Then the announcement after the game that his back had acted up and that he was going for an MRI today, and then suspended animation waiting for that MRI, and will wait till tomorrow. Chris Young takes a strike. Chris 3 for 21 on the year this year, hitting 143.
Chris has an idea up there. He swings an intelligent bat for a pitcher.
Remember, he had 3 hits in his first start as a Met in Philadelphia last year.
He's no easy mark. Right now, Chassin is just pouring in fastballs. Just seems like he hasn't pitched since May 1st. He's just going to let it all air it out and try to get a rhythm.
Working with the veteran Ramon Hernandez.
Because no sooner than I say that, he throws a slider.
And Young grounds it down to third. Pacheco with the running toss in the dirt and scooped out nicely by Colvin for the second out.
Nice play, Mr. Colvin.
He's proven quite a depth there. Guy who's used to being an outfielder, only his 14th start at first base.
Well, this is a no easy play. Backhand in between hop. Beautiful. Works from the ground up. See that, kids? That's what you do. And go forward to the ball. Why do you want to go from the ground up? Well, obviously the ball is going to come up. It's faster to move your hands from the ground up than up to the ground, down to the ground. And you go forward with your glove to make the hop shorter.
Baxter takes a strike. So you want to make the hop shorter because shorter is easier?
Yes. You always try to stay away from in between hops. Now, obviously, when you're a first baseman and you're getting a throw, it's impossible. So, because you're just all you can do is stride. But so you go forward. That was a perfect example. You could put that on a clinic, instructional tape on how to do a backhand pick on an in between hop. It was perfectly done.
Ripped down the right field line, and he right into the glove with the ball boy. Nice catch.
He's got a Met uniform, and he made the put out. Nice play.
Didn't even have to get off his chair. Baxter riding an 8-game hitting streak, the longest of his short career. And he pops this one up. And the shortstop Herrera making the call as he retreats. And that retires the side. So both pitchers have held the opposition hitless over the first 3 innings. Quickly to the 4th with no score. Chassin making quick work of the opposition. Just 53 pitches thrown in the first 3 innings of this game. Young, when he struck out the side in the first inning, had not done that since August of 2007, also against the Rockies. Charlie Blackmon will lead things off, then Jordan Pacheco and Dexter Fowler for the Rockies second time through the order. Blackman still looking for that first hit of the season. He's gone 0 for 10 now since being called up. Speedy left-hand batter out of Georgia Tech, and Young throws him a letter-high strike, 0-1. Well, Young has now thrown 28 pitches, 23 strikes, and only 5 balls. And after a base runner laden effort his last time out against the Reds, no base runners so far tonight. 10 batters, 8 first pitch strikes. Now the 0-2, and Blackmon takes it off the plate. A ball and 2 strikes. The word is that Carlos Gonzalez is flying in tonight from Venezuela, where he was attending his grandfather's funeral, and that he'll be back for the game tomorrow night. Blackmon hits it out to left. Valdespina's there. 1 away. Time to check in with Kevin Burkhardt, who is standing by with Ed Charles, who's here as part of the City Alumni Association. Never hang a slider to the glider.
By the way, the glider looks fantastic. You look fantastic. I mean, I feel like you could play today.
Thank you, Kevin. I wish I could and make some of this money these guys make.
You know, we were just having a conversation that was interesting. You know, I don't know if many people know, but you scouted for the Mets, you know, after you were done playing with them for I guess, a decade, almost a decade.
Oh, yeah.
And you were telling me one of the first guys you were on was Rick Sutcliffe. He could have been a Met, maybe.
Rick Sutcliffe should have been my first sign, okay? We had first pick in the draft that year. That was back in 1973. And I had wine and dine Rick all that season, right?
Yeah.
And he was ready to go. He was ready. We had him. All we had to do was just put him on the draft list. And the cross-checker, I forgot his name now, but he put thumbs down on it. Next thing I know, the Dodgers selected #1. So you know what Sutcliffe did in his career. So that was history. But
is that hard, you know, when you're looking at a guy and you love a guy, but it's not, the feeling isn't necessarily mutual with the organization?
Yeah, that's the thing, though, Cal. Sometimes we never know what the priority is going to be.
Yeah.
Sometimes the organization might be focused on, we're going to make an outfield our #1. And next year it might be a pitcher. Next year it might be a catcher. So that particular year, the only thing I can think of, they might have been thinking about an infielder or outfielder, somebody like that.
Who did the Mets take that year? You remember?
I don't remember, but I know one thing. I'm still mad about that.
We'll have to look it up as we talk to Ed.
If you see Rick, you tell him I say hello, all right?
And let me ask you, if you were scouting now, Ed, right? Game's a little different as Young gets another strikeout. He's rolling here. Game's a little different. What would you look at now that maybe might be a little different when you looked at it back in 1973?
Well, my code when I was out there scouting, the 2 things I would focus on, speed and how a player respond in a clutch situation. That was my focus. Speed, I don't care whether you're talking about arm speed, running speed, whatever, because you can't go wrong with that, okay? And how a kid responds in clutch type of situations tells you a lot about his makeup.
Yeah.
So that's what I would focus on, those 2 things.
Was it hard to determine that for some of those kids, because some of those big situations, I imagine, didn't necessarily come up, you know, whether it's college or lower levels, wherever you saw these kids play?
Well, not when it comes to how to respond in a clutch situation. The only thing is, I found it was kind of hard in terms of evaluating the player at that level. But the kids, like, let's say, coming out of California, where they can play year-round, or Florida, something like that, they're way more advanced than the kids in the northern areas where it's cold and blah, blah, blah. So you got to be careful how you assess those players from those particular areas.
So the weather allowed them, as Fowler kind of walks it off after fouling that one off his leg. So the weather kind of, you know, gave the kids more experience.
Right. So you got to be careful there, because you see a kid, you say, oh, boy, this kid, he's got everything together. and you see one guy in the northern area, he's not that far advanced, all right? But that particular guy might turn out to be the better ball player. So there you go. It was pretty tricky, so you had to be careful.
Obviously concern for Fowler. We'll have one more with Ed Charles. I know you're a big fan. I know you're a fan of the game and you watch a lot. Have you seen Matt Harvey pitch?
Yeah, I love what I saw.
What do you like?
I like his whole repertoire. I mean, he got a good fastball, a little movement on it, and breaking pitch is good. And I think mentally, this approach and everything, you know, to me, it's solid. I mean, the guy.
Would you hit his slider glider?
Oh, tear him up. Down.
Ed, you're the best. It's great catching up.
Thank you, Kevin.
Ed Charles, guys, weekly show on SNY for us coming up next week, by the way. Let's go back to you.
Ed Charles, the resident poet laureate of the Mets. By the way, in 1974, when the Dodgers took Rick Sutcliffe with the 21st pick in the first round, the Mets took 4 picks earlier and drafted a guy named Cliff Speck, who never pitched for the Mets and only pitched briefly in the major leagues. Dexter Fowler back in the box after fouling that ball off his leg, and he fouls that one back to the screen. By the way, the Mets picked 17th. They took Cliff Speck. The 18th pick, the Royals took Willie Wilson.
Oh.
And then 3 picks after that, the Dodgers took Sutcliffe. Also in that draft, the number 1 pick, who eventually played for the Mets, the Padres took Billy Allman out of Brown University. Breaking ball in the dirt, 1 and 2 to Fowler. Also in that draft, Lonnie Smith went 3rd to the Phillies. Dale Murphy went 5th to the Braves. Gary Templeton went 13th to the Cardinals.
Some good scouting. Lance Parrish is in that list too, I see, right?
Lance went
16th
to the Tigers. 1-2 up and away, and it's 2 and 2 now to Fowler. Another rain delay in Washington after Ian Desmond got the scoring started with another home run, his second in 2 nights. After the Nats won in 13 innings last night, finished after midnight. Swing and a miss. He got him with a breaking ball. That's 6 strikeouts for Young in 4 perfect innings. What a start for Young. No score in the 4th. As we look at the answer to our AT&T trivia question, the 3 Mets to play in every game of the 69 and the 73 series. And those are the 3. Catcher Grody, the shortstop Harrelson, and Leon, the left fielder. Ruben Tejada leads off in the 4th. Neither team has had a hit in this game yet. Tejada hit a hard ground ball to 3rd that The third baseman Pacheco knocked down with his chest and threw him out in the opening inning. Mets have had the only base runner. That was Murphy, who reached on an error in the second. So Jhoulys Chacín in his first start off the disabled list doing well, but now the Mets have their first hit as Tejada rifles one into left. Brown gets it back in quickly, and the Mets have the leadoff man on. The first hit of the game for either side.
Well, Tejada here was hitting a little bit too much in the air, but boy, he's made the correction. He's getting a little crowded here up and in. Look how he brings that right, just beautiful little, brings that right arm in, the forearm in, and it stays level, hits the line drive.
Ike Davis, who lined out to center field his first time up, doing something tonight that Keith did 1,464 times in his career.
That many.
Batting third. Well, it's 1464 out of 1948. So that's almost 500 games you didn't hit third.
Well, when I first came up, the number 3 hitter for the St. Louis Cardinals was Reggie Smith.
Great switch hitter.
And Ted Simmons batted cleanup.
Another switch hitter.
Switch hitting catcher.
The only places in the order you never hit were first, 8th, and 9th.
Well, first and 8th. Thank goodness. Cleveland could have put me 8th that last year.
They could have put you 9th. They had a DH.
First, 8th, and what?
9th.
Okay.
Drive toward the gap in right center field, and that's down for a base hit. On his way to third is Tejada. Fowler cutting it off nicely to hold Davis to a single. But the Mets have first and third and nobody out.
Well, Chacín, one too many fastballs. Ike right on it. Right down the pipe. Ike with that widespread stance. Covers it. Not a whole lot of take back. Extra motion there. Love that shot. You look at the top hand come over.
So the Mets have the table set for David Wright, who hit one to the top of the fence in the second inning, and Fowler made a nice jumping catch to probably rob him of a home run. David's now gone 82 at bats since his last home run, and he takes it low from Chacín for ball one. David waiting for that next home run that gets him to 200 in his career. It's been more than 3 weeks since his last. And Chacín falling behind again, 2-0.
Oh boy.
That's a Hernandez next to a Fernandez.
It should be reversed
alphabetically. Infield back looking for two. They'll concede a run on a ground ball. And David takes the letter high strike. Off speed pitch from Chacín, 2-1.
Nope. David, the second half of the year since the All-Star break, hitting .252 with 5 home runs and 16 RBIs. And this is the 37th game since the break.
With all that, he's still 4th in the league in batting, 2nd in the league in on-base percentage, 2nd in doubles. Gives you an idea just how great a first half he had. Although you look at among the league leaders right now, and everybody's fading just a little bit.
Yep.
Even Andrew McCutchen, who's sitting on the top of the heap.
These are the dog days right here. And you're just starting to peek around and just getting a little peek of the light at the end of the tunnel at this point in the season. Still a ways to go.
Now the 2-2 from Chacín. He got him with a slider. So Wright is struck out for the first out of the inning. And that's the first strikeout for Chacín.
Well, he dropped a good slider here, and David took that second strike fastball. I think he was looking for something else, and then chases a bad slider, but a late breaking tight slider, a good one, a good out pitch.
For Chacín, who sat out for 3.5 months with some shoulder inflammation, problem with the pectoral muscle. He has looked very sharp in his first start back. Here's Murphy, who had a fly ball that was dropped for an error his first time, and he loops one into shallow left. Brown is there, tagging at third Tejada. He's going to try it. Brown's throw to the plate is offline, and the Mets have the lead. Murphy with a sacrifice fly gets Tejada in, and it's 1-0 New York. RBI number 53 for Daniel Murphy.
Well, Murph just inside outs this one. He's trying to come inside, inner half. And you got to cut that ball off. As a cutoff guy, you got to realize, I understand that Pacheco is not a third baseman, but you can read a throw in that it is fading and it's going to sink, and almost cost him a base there.
And Davis stayed at first base. Now 2 out and Jordani Valdespin the batter. So the Mets get 2 hits. Murphy gets the sac fly to bring a run in. And now Valdespin, who grounded out to first base his first time up. Andres Torres would be next. Valdespin hitless in his last 12 at bats. And he tries to hold the swing. He went around. Third base umpire fielded Culbreth, 1-1. Don't step on home plate when you're hitting the ball. Be out. Here's the 1-1 and a good slider by Chacin. 1-2 to Valdespin.
Well, this is what they found out about Valdespin. He gets a little jumpy at the plate. He's so aggressive that you can spin up those breaking balls down and in. You know what, though? You learn the good hitters make the adjustments. If you continue doing what you're doing, you're not going to hit. I still like his swing.
It's your Verizon text ball. Where would you like to see Valdespin play the rest of the season? In the outfield, where he's being used now, or at second base, which is his natural position. Text 56812 or go to sny.tv to cast your ballot. A for outfield, B for second. Or it could be 789 for outfield and 4 for second. If you're scoring.
Well, you could have C, all the above. If we really wanted to get technical, or we wouldn't dare put D, none of the above.
Well, we didn't give choice of shortstop, third, or even catcher. Trying to keep it simple. 2-2 to Valdespin, and he takes upstairs a fastball. 3-2. It's about as hard as Chacin has thrown tonight at 93 miles an hour.
He looks pretty good. He's got a nice fluid motion. Looks like he's pain-free.
Well, he said that the second half of last year, when his results started to tail off into this season, that he was never healthy. Appears to be healthy now. 3-2. Ike will be running, and Valdespin with a late swing fouls it off.
Chacin is 6'3", 225 pounds. He's solid. Big, broad shoulders, and he's got big, strong legs.
He's been very successful for the Rockies despite this last calendar year when he hasn't pitched well. His ERA for his career is 3.78. Only 5 pitchers in Rockies history have pitched at least 300 innings for them and have an ERA under 4. So he's in pretty select company. And Valdespin foul tips it. Hernandez hangs on. Strike 3. Second strikeout for Chacin. Mets get the first run of the game on Murph's sacrifice fly. 1-0 after 4. Well, Chris Young perfect through the first 4 innings. He's already struck out 6 of the first 12 batters, so he is off to a roaring start. He's only struck out as many as 7 in a game this year. So Young, who went 5 2/3 scoreless in his last start, but with traffic in every inning, has had no traffic tonight through 4 scoreless. Ramon Hernandez leads off, struck out his first time up.
Well, he's used his changeup the least. He's got an excellent breaking ball tonight. There it is.
That first pitch breaking ball to get ahead on Hernandez.
He's got a nice little tight little down break to it. Locating wonderfully.
And another one, and it's looped into shallow center, and over comes Torres, and that's the first out. So Hernandez retired, 13 up and 13 down for Young.
Oh, how about that? That's bad.
Slow-mo brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Here's Tyler Colvin, who flied to left his first time up.
Did someone bring a dog to the ballpark? Can the people hear that?
It's not Bark in the Park Day. There's some dogs. Nathan style.
Someone's here that's barking like a dog.
What to Colvin?
Oh boy.
Now Young with the 1-1, and Colvin takes it up and away. A rare time tonight that Young has been behind in the count. See what's happening in Philadelphia tonight? Phillies lead the Reds 1-0 in the 4th. You know what night it is? Hit to center field, and Torres barely asked to move. And there are 2 out. In Philadelphia tonight, it's Hunter Pence bobblehead night. Hunter Pence is 3,000 miles away playing in Los Angeles for the Giants against the Dodgers.
So it's.
I mean, they could have sent the bobbleheads back to the factory, or they could just go ahead and have his bobblehead night, which they've chosen to do.
Maybe it was just appreciation of Hunter Pence Day.
Well, you know, guys tend to have good nights on their bobblehead nights, but I don't know if it applies if they're now playing in another time zone. Here's Andrew Brown, and he takes a strike. Ironically enough, tonight Pence is playing against the Dodgers, who are pitching Joe Blanton, who was his teammate with the Phillies. 0-2 to Brown.
There's that.
Direct hit on Adrian Johnson.
Oh, by the way, he's calling a fantastic game.
Well, there's your hot dog vendor who is.
Oh, there he is.
Is barking.
Oh, I get his shtick. Okay.
Get your dogs.
Yes, sir.
Just got a piece of it to stay alive.
Very clever.
You know, sometimes you have to go that extra mile, think outside the box.
Hey, they get paid by commission. How many they sell, right? So that's good. Get your attention.
Oh, he got your attention.
Got her attention. She bought one. It works.
Extra mustard with that, please. Now Young ahead on Andrew Brown, 0-2. And it's popped up. Another ball in the air for Chris Young. Baxter comes in to grab it, and Chris Young has put together 5 perfect innings. Things get interesting here at Citi Field. Halfway through, Keith will be talking about how hitting has changed. We talked with Ronnie about pitching last night. That's coming up in the bottom of the 5th. Bottom of the fifth, Mets with a 1-0 lead. Andres Torres thinks about a bunt, takes ball one from Jhoulys Chacín. Torres grounded out his first time up. Tolle and Young to follow. Last night we started to get into a discussion of how teaching the game has changed, and Ronnie gave some of the examples of the way teaching pitching has changed. And Keith has been talking with managers and coaches and scouts and trying to figure out how that timeline has worked on the offensive and defensive side.
Well, I think the big change to me, Gare, is the players with their weight programs.
Greg bunt attempt, and Colvin bobbles in, and Torres is safe. Well, Colvin has played such fine first base in this series. A little too quick trying to grab it and get to the bag, and he's charged with the error.
Watch him lift his head up a little bit too quick, wanted to make the play at first, too quick, and inexperience right there. He's not a first baseman. And really, when the ball's bunted that hard, you know you got plenty of time, and then, you know, it happens. But getting back to the changes in hitting, I think with the advent of all the conditioning, Gary, and the lifting, the weightlifting, and all the strong upper bodies today, that you've gotten away from really the beautiful Ted Williams swing, Stan Musial, who basically you see more widespread. You see that toe tap now, which is completely different and foreign to me. And that is a timing mechanism. And I always was taught that hitting is like a train starting from a stop position. My father, the train just doesn't go forward by going like this. The train's got to go back first and then go forward before it gets the momentum to go forward. With these guys so widespread, and the toe tap, which is a timing mechanism, and we talked about it last night with Josh Tolle. You can.
Torres runs. Chacín fields the grinder. His only play is at first. So Torres, who was in motion, winds up at second.
So basically, what I think is everybody more is an upper body hitter today. You don't really see Carlos Gonzalez, so unfortunately he's going to be here tomorrow. And for all you Met fan, I think one of the finest swings in the game today, and I'm extremely hopeful he's going to be back in the lineup. Now, there's a guy with the old swing where, you know, I used to stand with my feet shoulder width, and I would just kind of go back a little bit and stride on the inner sole of my front foot, so I wouldn't lunge, and it would be a rhythmic swing. Now, not everybody has a rhythmic swing, but there was much more than when I played. Today, they're more robotic, rely on the upper body, and that toe tap, I just don't even know what that's all about. But if it works, look at David Wright. He's got Hall of Fame numbers, had a great career doing that. If it works for you, fine. But to me, it would be like reading, Chinese, which I would have no clue. So that's one of the big changes today. And also, you see a lot of the underhand soft tosses today. Now, that was in my day, too. And I remember Dave Ricketts, the Cardinal coach and bullpen coach for the Pirates and the Cardinals when I was there, who had a rubber arm. But, guys take extra batting practice. And Lord knows the hitters today hit too much, in my opinion, much more than we did. The coaches would save their arms. They would get throw it underhand to you from the side. But you know what? You're not trained to hit the underhand softball pitch. You're over the top. Oh boy!
Torres took off too soon. He's in no man's land. And the Rockies execute the rundown, and Pacheco can't tag him out. And Torres got back safely.
Well,
Jim Trace is going to come out to argue this. It looked like Pacheco had run him down, but the second base umpire, Lance Barksdale, said no.
Well, Barksdale did not move with the runner, got a little lazy, and he got screened off. Now, he's not running. He's got to run back. Now, he gets screened. Clearly, he tagged him out. That's just a bad call. What can I tell you? He got him easily.
And now they're apparently going to reverse the call. And Terry Collins is out to argue.
I think
third base umpire Fielding Colbreth came over and apparently told Barksdale that he saw the tag.
Yep.
And there it is. It was obvious that he was tagged. But Colbreth helping His partner on the play has reversed the call, and now Terry Collins is into it with both of those umpires.
Well, I've seen this happen before, and they are within their right. If someone else has seen it and the visiting manager asks for help, another umpire with a better view, and he gets overruled, I've seen that happen before. Now, Terry's got a right to gripe, but to me, really the best angle was first base umpire.
And Terry's been run from the game, so now get his money's worth. Well, it all started with terrible base running by Andres Torres. With one out and the pitcher up, he's trying to steal third base, and he took off too soon. And eventually got tagged down on the rundown, and clearly the umpires got it right in the end.
And it's not a good rundown performed defensively by the Rockies. Too many throws. But good heads up by Chacin here. Oh, they had the pickoff on. Okay, that's 165 on your scorecard. That's not a bad rundown. Hey, 2 throws. And he clearly tagged him.
Got him right on the rear end. And it was shocking when they called him safe at first, but they did get it right eventually. 0-2 the count to Young, and he hits one in the air to shallow center, and there's the second baseman LeMahieu to grab it. And that ends the inning. So an error and nobody left. Now Young goes back to the mound. He hasn't allowed a base runner yet. 1-0 New York. Zero calories, maximum Pepsi taste. By Toyota. When you choose Toyota, you get a lot for less. Toyota. And by State Farm. Today's State Farm agent of the day is Brian Gill of Melville, New York. Contact Brian's office at brianmgill.com. Bet on the chance for you and a guest to have dinner with us and catch the game in the SNY Suite at Citi Field on September 12th. All proceeds will benefit the high school basketball teams playing in the 2013 SNY Invitational. Bid today at sny.tv/charity auction. Well, Chris Young has faced 15 batters and retired them all. He'll face the lower third of the Rockies order in the 6th. DJ LeMahieu, Jonathan Herrera, and Jhoulys Chacin. First pitch breaking ball in for a strike to LeMahieu. Flied out to right his first time up.
Well, he's dialed in on that breaking ball, and that's been the difference.
54 pitches, 41 for strikes for Young so far. Popped foul off to the right. Now keep in mind Terry Collins was ejected during that last half inning, which means that Bob Guerin and Dan Warthen are running the team. Now if you go back to the Johan Santana no-hitter, there was so much angst that Terry had to go through in terms of the pitch count and whether to let Johan finish. It'll be interesting if we get a little deeper into this game whether Guerin or Worthen will seek guidance from Terry, who's down the tunnel. Ground ball up the middle, and Tejada with the sliding stop, and he can't make the play, and that'll be a hit for LeMahieu. So after 5 perfect innings, the Rockies have their first base runner against Young, who gets a nice hand.
Well, just another no-hitter thrown aside. This was a perfect game. Would that have been something in one season?
Chris Young has had the experience before of carrying a perfect game deep. In fact, he went to 2 out in the 8th inning in 2008 at Milwaukee before Gabe Kapler broke it up with a home run when he was pitching for the Padres. Here's Jonathan Herrera with the tying run at first now and nobody out. Herrera popped to short his first time up. So Young pitching out of the stretch for the first time tonight. You've got the pitcher Chacin on deck. Wright nonetheless is shortened up at third base against the threat of the bunt. And Herrera takes wide, a ball and a strike. Normally this is the point of the game where the Rockies are pulling their pitcher out, but Chacin has been so efficient tonight with that 75 pitch limit looming. He's only thrown 54 in 5 innings. Now 2 balls and a strike to Herrera. Herrera filling in at short for Josh Rutledge, who's suffering with a bit of a thigh problem. Rutledge filling in for Troy Tulowitzki, who's been out for 3 months. Runner goes, and it's pulled through the hole. A hit and run base hit for Herrera. LeMahieu will go to third, and the Rockies have first and third and nobody out.
Well, Herrera once again in the middle of things. Just always seems to be nothing but trouble for the Mets. Hey, you've got that. That's just situational hitting right there. I know it's a hit and run, but you got Murphy covering the whole right side of the infield laid open. Even if Murphy doesn't cover, you got Davis, the first baseman, who has to cover. You've got that hole between first and second. If you're a left-hand hitter, perfect that. And particularly if you're a setup guy in a lineup.
So let's see how the Rockies play it here. First and third and nobody out. Chacin popped up to short his first time up. And he is already squared around.
That'll get it done.
Young makes the play to first, and he throws it away. That brings in LeMahieu with the tying run. Herrera goes all the way to third, takes a turn there and holds on. The Rockies have tied it at 1 on Chris Young's throwing error.
Trying to try and see the throw this bad. A nice, beautiful bunt. Deadened it nicely. Well, Murph got a little befuddled there. That's out of his range. Didn't get much of a leap. He didn't jump at all. He was concerned about getting hit. Just not good footwork as far as shifting. It's not a good throw. The throw's not inside the line, number one. That's the problem. It was not a good throw. But Murph had a hard time with the footwork coming over and getting in foul territory. It was a late read on Murph's part as far as that ball is going to be inside the line. I got to get over. And then he was worried about the guy barreling down on him.
So now it's a 1-1 game, and the Rockies have first and third and nobody out. Charlie Blackmon is 0 for 2, struck out and flied out. So it's a sacrifice for Chacin, an error, which allows LeMahieu to score and allows Herrera to go to third. 2 balls and no strikes to Blackmon. So after Young was perfect through the first 5 innings, perfect no more, either pitching wise or fielding wise.
Boy, oh boy.
2 hits and a throwing error, producing a run. Now he's behind 2-0. And that's well out of the strike zone. And so Blackmon, who doesn't have a big league hit this year, has a 3-0 advantage with Jordan Pacheco waiting on deck.
Well, it's clear that Chris Young is upset with himself in that throwing error.
6th and 7th innings have been so difficult for Young this year. There's a strike. Now remember earlier this year Josh Thole suffered a concussion. Well, when it looked like there might be a play at the plate, he made sure he had the mask on this time.
Well, that's a first.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. A guy who had already shed the mask going back to put it on. But when that ball went down the line, he quickly went for it. In the air to left, not deep. On comes Valdespin. That's going to drop for a base hit. And the Rockies take the lead. It's overrun by Valdespin. Herrera scores. All the way to third goes Chacin. The Rockies are in front 2-1. Blackmon has his first hit of the year. It drives in a run. And Colorado goes in front.
Well, we had a text poll on where you want to see Valdespin play, second or left field, and that is just misplayed, and that is just inexperience. A man out of position, and this should never have happened.
It's almost as though once the ball dropped, he forgot he was going to have to pick it up and just kind of casually ran by it.
So a very, very sloppy inning here for the Metsies.
No error on the play, although you certainly could have tagged one on Valdespin at the end of it, allowing the runner to go to third. So 2 runs are in on 3 hits and an error. And now Jordan Pacheco, the batter, first and third, and still nobody out. Chacin, the pitcher, now at third base, and Blackmon with his first hit and first RBI of the season on at first.
And Blackmon should have been on second base.
Pacheco's been up twice and struck out both times. Young struck out 6 in the first 4 innings tonight, none since. And checks in on Blackmon, who has stolen base speed.
Boy, oh boy, it's one thing after another. It seems every day it's another Shakespearean tragedy here.
Well, second day in a row, the Mets have been hurt by a pitcher's error. Last night it was Hedgen, tonight Young.
That's just a very long swing by Pacheco. You've got a situation here. It's a big run out there to be driven in, and big long overswing. And that's what you see a lot in hitting hitters today. Like Murph, when he got his sacrifice fly back in the bottom of the 4th, placed that ball right out in the opposite field. Murph has good bat control, knows what he's doing up there. A lot of guys don't have that today.
There goes Blackmon. No throw by Tolle. It's a stolen base for Charlie Blackmon.
Well, that's a wise stolen base right there, because Chris Young has a hard time holding runners on. He's slow to the plate, Gare, and that was a perfect time to steal a base. It takes double play out of order. The Mets are going to play back in the middle infield, Davis in, and Wright kind of really halfway.
0-2 to Pacheco, and that's upstairs. Young could really use a strikeout here. So you're already behind in the game, and yet you're going to concede a run on a ground ball. Fowler on deck. 2 runs home in the inning, 2 in scoring position, and nobody out. A real mess for Young after a perfect first 5. 1-2, and the slider misses. 2-2 to Pacheco. Young trying to find his bearings. He's become unmoored here in the 6th. And Pacheco fights it off and stays alive. Jordan Pacheco, 26 years old, 9th round pick by the Rockies in 07 out of the University of New Mexico.
A Lobo.
Not too many Lobos in the big leagues.
More known for their basketball program.
Playing in the pit in Albuquerque. And it is a pit.
We had a high school basketball court that was like that, a pit. It was at San Mateo High School.
Now the 2-2. Check swing, and he foul tipped at strike 3. So Pacheco is out on strikes. That's a big one for Young. His 7th strikeout of the night. That matches his season high.
Changeup. Oh, slider. That's 3 strikeouts for Pacheco. That's sombrero, not fashionable.
Not yet golden, but that might be to come. So 1 out, and now Fowler And the middle infielders will stay back with runners at second and third. Fowler has struck out twice tonight, and he takes a first pitch strike. 87 from Young. That's about where he will top out. Chacin is at third, and Blackman at second with one out, with 2 runs home here in the 6th. And Fowler fouls it off, and so Young in a position where he could use another strikeout. Gets ahead quickly 0-2. Only piece of Fowler's game that he'd like to improve on. He's now struck out 101 times this year. Otherwise has had a fine year, 5th in the league in on base percentage. Young ahead of him 0-2, and again he comes upstairs.
Gonna drop a little change on him here, or a backdoor hook.
And he lines it into right field. Baxter will have to play it on a hop. Chacin is in to score. Blackman will stop at third. Dexter Fowler with an RBI single. 3 runs home for the Rockies here in the 6th, and they lead 3-1.
Well, not a good read by Blackman at second base. Chacin was running back to third. He's a pitcher. We'll forgive him. Backdoor slider, called it, but good hitting. Not a bad pitch. I mean, that's clearly a base hit. Chacin's a pitcher. Okay, forget about him. He's okay. You know, he has been out since May too. So, but the runner on second, Blackman's got to score in that ball. He held up.
Chacin talking to his teammates about how that throw from Young almost gave him a haircut at first base. Here's Ramon Hernandez, first and third and 1 out, and Fowler, who can steal a base, gets chased back.
Got to know where your outfielders are. Watch him run, and he stops. I'm sorry, that's clearly a base hit. That's just not knowing where the right fielder is. Now that run right there, if he's left on base, this game winds up 4-3. Met win. That cost him. They all add up.
Well, Chris Young sailed through the first 5 tonight, and now 24 pitches deep in the 6th inning, and still has only 1 out.
And the Mets playing for the double play here. Hernandez does not run well.
Problem is, Young gets very few ground balls. Not the kind of pitcher who generates a lot of double plays. And he faked to third, looked to first, hoping Fowler would go on first movement. Fowler has stolen 12 this year, been caught 3 times. Young, over the course of his career, has had over 90% of the stolen base attempts successful against him. Very tall, very slow to the plate. This time trying to hold it to freeze Fowler. Robert Carson, who was called up today by the Mets with Jeremy Hefner going on the paternity list, expecting the birth of his 2nd child tomorrow. Carson called up for the 3rd time this year. Got into a couple of games with the Mets earlier this year. Carson up in the bullpen here in the 6th as Young labors.
Carson only had, did he have 1 appearance?
2. Little flare into right, and there's Baxter to grab it, tagging at third, and coming on in easily is Blackman with the 4th run of the inning. So Hernandez with a sacrifice fly, and it's 4-1 Colorado. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by with this game break. No word on the Hunter Pence bobbleheads.
Well, the Phillies are starting to hit a little bit now, score some runs. Howard's kind of finding his groove.
Well, the Phillies last night tied the Mets for 3rd place in the NL East. There goes Fowler. The throw by Tolle, a good one, but he's safe.
And he came off the bag, and he's out. Well, Lance Barksdale, another call reversed. This time with Fowler coming off the bag, it goes to caught stealing to end the inning.
Now they teach you to keep the tag on. And the problem was he never got to the bag. His left hand hit the foot of Tejada, and that's why he changed the call. Not that he came off, it's that he never got there.
Boy, oh boy.
4-1 Colorado.
Awful baseball.
base, but the foot does not count as part of the bag.
Well, there you go. I mean, unbelievable. That's just hard to believe.
Slid right into Tejada's foot. Lance Barksdale changing the call and got it right in the end. Mike Baxter will try and lead the Mets back in the bottom of the 6th inning against Jhoulys Chacin. And he takes ball 1. Baxter 0 for 2 tonight. He's grounded out and popped up. Let's check in with Kevin.
Talk to Dave Hudgens, guys, about what to do as a coach in this situation when the offense as a whole is struggling so badly, when they're striking out so much, and when at times it seems they're passive. And he said, first thing is you can't panic. You have to try and be positive with them. And he said, listen, the approach is never to take a fastball right down the middle for strike 1. He said, I think what happens is a lot of times when guys are struggling, they go fishing. They're a little passive. Maybe they take that fastball right down the middle, and instead they go chase that breaking ball. He said, walks come to you by production. Hitters fear you a little bit by production, and that's how the walks come. They're not going to come to you by just sitting there and letting them get you on base. He said we want a good pitch to hit, and just trying to stay positive with that. So, really that's a lot of the thing. But Dave Hudgens can't swing the bat, guys. And I think there's a lot of confusion sometimes with the Moneyball thing, and yes, drawing walks. But Hudgens' message is just to get on base any way you can. It's certainly not to take pitches right down the middle, like it seems like been happening a little bit lately.
Well, Kev, when you got it, everybody seems to try a little bit harder. This team has been struggling offensively the second half. And, David was really kind of carrying the ball club the first half, was getting a lot of guys that were helping out, but it just has all collapsed since the All-Star break for this club in a lot of ways. I just always feel that, yes, when you're not feeling good at the plate, you can maybe be too choosy with too selective because you don't feel right at the plate. But when you got to sit on fastball when you're struggling, and I just think a lot of guys get on that computer in that clubhouse, and they think they get too cute. It's too much information.
Baxter pops one up in foul ground, and Pacheco to the railing and runs out of room. I think also, and Kevin brought it up in Dave's comments. There's so much talk these days about on-base percentage and about drawing walks and working pitchers. I think sometimes the message gets lost a little bit. And I thought Dave said something that's very interesting. He said you have to scare pitchers out of the strike zone. In other words, if you're not a threat,
right,
there's no reason for them to pitch out of the strike zone and not come right after you. And the Mets have not had much of a threat up there, as Baxter hits one well to center, but Fowler retreats to get there. 1 out.
Well, it's also the club that you put together. If you've got the perfect club, you've got your 1-2 hitters or guys that have good eyes at the plate, good on-base percentages. Ideally, obviously, your third hitter is your best hitter in your lineup, and an RBI guy, and also a guy with a good eye at the plate that gets on base. And then, your 4, 5, and 6 hitters are your production guys, and you can accept strikeouts and less walks from them, as long as you got the table setters in front. So it's all about the lineup too, and you have an overload of table setters or too many strikeout guys.
Tejada lofts one into shallow left, and that'll fall for his second hit of the night. So Tejada, who singled and scored leading off the 4th, is on base with 1 out in the 6th. He has certainly done his job as a table setter this year.
Hey guys, I have an unrelated question. We have obviously talked a lot, especially playing the Nationals, about Steven Strasburg and the innings limit and things like that. So that's in place firmly, and Washington standing by that. Yet tonight, Strasburg threw 29 pitches, 2 2/3 innings. They had a 51-minute rain delay, and he just came back out there and finished out the 3rd.
That's interesting.
Now explain that to me.
Very surprising. I mean, that's very surprising. I know that we've had this conversation with Terry Collins about Matt Harvey, who's not coming off Tommy John surgery last year, and he basically said if there's a rain delay with Harvey, he's not coming back, and that's true with a lot of young pitchers.
Well, this is a bit surprising. I think that if you're going to be careful with them.
That one skips away from Hernandez, and Tejada goes down to second. So a wild pitch charge to Chassin.
Well, not very good fundies from the catcher here. Watch the backhand. That is not going to happen. You got to get that glove facing the pitcher and just try to block it here with your body.
Off his wrist instead.
I'm very surprised that they brought him back after a 51-minute delay, or 53. I forget what Kevin said.
Well, part of the issue for the Nationals, I think, tonight is that last night they played a 13-inning game. And in fact, if it had gone to the 14th, they were warming up Edwin Jackson, a starter, to come in because they used their entire bullpen. So I would think that part of Davey and Steve McCatty's decision to bring Strasburg back tonight might relate to that. The fact that they just don't have a bullpen tonight. 3-1 now to Davis.
It's pretty tough to burn through all your bullpen when you got 7 guys out there.
How about the Rockies? They've got 9 guys out there. The Rockies activated Chassin today and put Eric Young Jr. on the disabled list. They now have a 14-man pitching staff.
3 men on the bench.
You ever heard of that before? On a 25-man roster, 14 pitchers?
I've never heard of 3 men on the bench.
In the American League, maybe, not in the National League. But it's working for the Rockies again tonight, particularly if Chassin can take them deep. Matt Reynolds, first man up in the Rockies bullpen.
I don't think Ike's going to get a fastball.
3-2 from Chassin, and he punches one toward third. Pacheco plays that spinner and throws him out, 2 away.
And he didn't. He got an off-speed backdoor slider, and that was a sidewinder off the end of the bat. That's how out in front he was.
You know, Keith, I was talking to Hudgens too, and I asked him about Ike Davis, and you know, will there be any more tweaks and changes during the rest of the year where you just kind of wait it out and maybe address some things in the offseason? And he described Ike as in battle mode, and he also gave me the impression that a lot of the things that he's doing now he won't be doing next spring. I guess maybe you just get to the point where, okay, survive in advance and we'll work on it in the offseason.
Well, you know, it's going to be every year is a big year, but it's going to be a big year for Ike next year. We're not going to get ahead of the game.
But wouldn't you think that if there are changes that need to be made, that this would be the perfect time to make them in the last 40 games when there isn't a pennant on the line, as opposed to riding it out and waiting for next year?
I think they've made a lot of alterations already. How many more can you make? I mean, they've got him from opening up, not opening up his stance, but widening his stance, his feet. There's only so much you can do. You know, you just can't be like Bernie Carbo and have 15,000 batting stances.
Worked for Rod Carew.
Well, there's an exception for every rule.
Worked for Cal Ripken. 1-2 to Wright, who's fly deep to center and struck out tonight.
I just feel at this point in the season right now, you run Ike out there every day and let him play every day, even against the tough left-handers.
Line drive, base hit for Wright. Tejada being waved around third. Brown makes the throw to the plate on one hop. The tag by Hernandez, and he's out. Perfect one-hop strike from Andrew Brown in left field, and Tejada is out at the plate to end the inning.
Perfect throw.
Tejada trying to come to the inside. Hernandez gets the tag down. 4-1 Rockies after 6.
Seventh inning, Rockies with a 4-1 lead. Tyler Colvin, who was at the plate when Fowler was caught stealing to end the last inning, rips one past Murphy into right for a base hit. So Colvin has his first hit of the night. Murphy's slow getting up. And the Rockies have put together 4 hits, got helped out by an error, and scored 4 runs in the 6th, have the leadoff man on in the 7th. 2 of those runs charged to Young in the 6th were unearned, the result of his throwing error. Now Andrew Brown, who made that terrific throw to get Tejada at the plate and the bottom of the 6th. Bats with a man on and nobody out. Brown is 0 for 2 tonight. And he takes ball 1 from Young. That's up the bullpen busy. The 7th inning has not been kind to Chris Young this year. Young's ERA in the 7th inning this year is 12.46.
Amazing. And winless at home, too.
He's never won at Citi Field. Not last year, not this year. Fly ball down the right field line. That'll go foul. Let's take a drive around the majors presented by Cadillac. Ian Desmond with the home run to give the Nats the lead. A rain delay, but they're now in the 4th. 1-0 Nationals. Mark Trumbo hit his 30th home run of the year. The Angels up 5-0 on Boston. That game is in the 6th. And Max Scherzer, who leads the major leagues in strikeouts per 9 innings, has 7 tonight. Tigers lead the Blue Jays 3-1 in the 6th. There's the good breaking ball by Young, and he's ahead on Brown 1-2. Josh Renicky, the right-hander, Matt Reynolds, the left-hander, in the Colorado bullpen, along with Jim Wright, the bullpen coach. One and 2 to Andrew Brown. Check in on Colvin, who has 4 stolen bases on the year. Well, Chris Young threw just 53 pitches in the first 5 innings. He was perfect, but it caved in the 6th. Runner goes, and it's fouled off. Colvin was on his way.
Well, they are playing very aggressively on the bases here, trying to force things. I'm talking about Colorado, of course.
They're a team that scores a lot of runs at home, struggles to score on the road. They've got a lot of people out of the lineup. It's a younger team. They have a little more speed now. Plus, you got Chris Young on the mound, who is not adept at stifling the running game. The Rockies at home this year are averaging 5.7 runs per game. On the road, 3.6 runs per game. It's like 2 different teams. There he goes again, swung and missed, and bobbled by Tolle. It's a strikeout for Young as he gets Brown for the first out, but Colvin steals the base, his 5th of the year. 8 strikeouts for Chris Young. That's a season high.
A little juggling act here. Whoops.
Well, for Jim Tracy's team, those are the numbers home and away this year. Look at the disparity in batting average and home runs.
Well, that's what we're used to seeing over the years.
The Humidors seem to put the clamps on that, but not this year. And it's been the same on the other side. Their ERA a 1.5 higher at home. DJ LeMahieu takes high. Of course, this is not really the Rockies team right now. This is a bunch of call-ups and backups for the most part, other than Dexter Fowler. LeMahieu playing second base right now, fouls it back. Well, the Giants and Dodgers playing right now in L.A. As we look at the National League standings presented by Dunkin' Donuts. Madison Bumgarner pitched a gem last night to put the Giants back in front by a half game. Tonight it's Tim Lincecum against Joe Blanton in the second game of that series. By the way, Bumgarner, we talked about Cy Young candidates with Dickey last night. He's starting to inject his name in the conversation. Bumgarner now 14-7, 2.83. Struck out 10 last night in 8 innings against the Dodgers.
Well, if Cueto and Dickey keep pitching like they are, I don't think that it's going to be anything to decide upon. It's going to be one or the other if they can keep it going. And like Ronnie said last night, There's a lot of season left. Anything can happen.
We've got a quarter of the season remaining. 1-2. The runner goes. Swung and missed. Throw to third by Tolle, and Colvin steals third. So again, Young gets the strikeout, and Colvin steals the base. His second in the inning, his 6th of the year.
Colvin feeling very frisky. He must have got his rest last night, or slept late. 9 strikeouts now for Chris Young. Most he's had in a game this year. He's struck out as many as 12 in a game in his career. So Colvin now at third with 2 out, and the number 8 hitter Jonathan Herrera will step in. Herrera had a hit-and-run single his last time up, and he will not get to swing the bat this time. He's done so much damage against the Mets. Mets will walk him intentionally, but Jim Tracy has no intention of having his pitcher bat. He's going to take Chacin out and bring up Josh Rutledge as a pinch hitter. Tracy only has 3 bench players now with 14 pitchers on his staff, with Eric Young Jr. going on the disabled list today. So has to be a bit judicious about the use of his bench, as Renicky, the right-hander, and Reynolds, the left-hander, are up. This is the first walk of the game issued by Chris Young. There are your City probables for the remainder of the series. Matt Harvey makes the start against Jeff Francis tomorrow night, and then we don't know if it's going to be Johan Santana. Mets will announce tomorrow whether he will pitch or not on Thursday. Tyler Chatwood will make that start for the Rockies. If Santana does not go on Thursday, it'll be a pitcher called up from the minor leagues, and you'd have to think that Henry Mejia is a prime candidate to make that start. So now Rutledge, the pinch hitter, he's had a terrific run filling in for Troy Tulowitzki at short. Rutledge hitting at .331. When Tulowitzki comes back, and they're hoping that'll be in a couple of weeks, Rutledge is going to become the everyday second baseman. Well, in 124 at bats, 6 home runs.
It's this one out to right center, chasing Torres back in the gap, and he gets there. And Andres makes the catch to end the inning. So Young works around a couple of stolen bases. He struck out 9 tonight, but at the 7th inning stretch, he's down 4-1. Mets and Rockies do battle down below. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Daniel Murphy leads off in the home 7th against the new Rockies pitcher Matt Reynolds, and he takes a fastball for a strike.
Well, Reynolds, one of two lefties. We saw Rex Brothers last night, who was just throwing 95 and blistering.
Reynolds doesn't throw nearly as hard. Facing Murphy, who's driven in the only Met run tonight with a sacrifice fly in the fourth. Also reached on an error in the second. So he's 0 for 1 on the night. And he taps one on the ground. Charging is Herrera. And the running toss. Close play, but he got him.
Nice.
One
cheat.
away.
That was a beautiful cheat by Colvin. Colvin's had to play first base before. He looks pretty smooth over there. He didn't really cheat, but that's the way to do it. Come off that bag. In one motion, he's on the bag, though. But have that fluid motion forward. Let that foot come off. The umpire sees your foot comes off before the runner tags the bag. He thinks that you've already caught the ball. That's nicely done.
The hand is quicker than the eye.
Thank you.
You're like a magician.
That's right. Here, don't forget it. Check your wallet.
Jordani Valdespin takes a strike. There are the results of our Toyota Text Poll. Where would you like to see Valdespin play the rest of the year? Well, apparently our participants are happy with Murphy at second base. And Valdespin takes a strike, and it's 0-2. Meanwhile, Jordani would just like a hit right now. He's 0 for his last 13 after going hitless in 2 at-bats tonight. Well, Jhoulys Chacín couldn't have pitched much better in his first start back from the disabled list after missing 3.5 months. Chacín went 6 through just 73 pitches, allowed a run on 4 hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts and a wild pitch. And as Keith noted earlier, Chacín, when he has struggled, generally has had a problem with walks, but he was a strike thrower tonight. And Valdespin has himself a base hit. Fowler cuts it off nicely in the gap. Valdespin's trying for 2. Fowler's throw off line. The tag made by LeMahieu, and Valdespin got around it. Well, down by 3 runs. Valdespin taking a big chance, and he comes up smelling like a rose.
Well, this is ill-advised because a good throw, he's out by a mile. And a terrible slide. An absolutely terrible slide. This has been fundamentally a brutal ball game to watch. I mean, look at this. You slide in feet first. The play's in front of you. You see the throws offline, and you want to do this.
Somehow his hand stayed on the bag as he was rolling by. Actually, the way LeMahieu held the glove down on his hand, it's almost like he held his hand on the bag. So that will be all for Matt Reynolds. Josh Renicky will come out of the bullpen. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Wireless. Win Mets memorabilia from Verizon at Mets.com/Verizon Sweeps.
He would come in to face Andres Torres. As guys had to tell you this, it's totally unrelated to the game, but it's simply amazing. Billy Hamilton, who's a Reds minor leaguer who's in Double-A, started the year in Single-A. 3 stolen bases tonight. He just broke Vince Coleman's all-time stolen base record. 119 games played. 119 games. He now has 146 steals this year. Unbelievable. I just had to get that in because it was sick. Back to you guys.
Well, we've been following that all year. Hamilton, we expect to be up in September with the Reds. And how about him as a pinch runner in pennant race games in September? Andres Torres, the batter, takes one that goes to the backstop, and that'll move Valdespin over to third. Second one that Ramon Hernandez has been unable to stop tonight.
Well, Ramon Hernandez, watch this. No movement, no footwork. Boy.
You know, he was once a terrific backstop, and at age 36, just not moving like he used to.
This is a fundamentally a game for the scrap heap.
So Valdespin at third with 1 out. Torres is 0 for 2. Reached on an error his last time up, but then got caught between second and third, leaving too early.
I have a question, Gare. Why are third base and first base playing in on a 4-1 lead in the 7th?
Maybe because they expect Torres to try to bunt for a hit.
Oh, please back up.
Three balls and a strike to Torres. Well, there's Billy Hamilton, who has been running wild in the minor leagues this year. And it helps to get on base. .412 on base percentage. That gives you a chance to steal. And now the all-time record in professional baseball for steals in a season. To center field, not very deep. Tagging at third, Valdespin. He's going to try it, challenging Fowler again. And this time he arrives safely. Sacrifice fly by Torres. And that cuts the Rockies' lead to 4-2. So an aggressive path around the bases for Valdespin.
Well, not a great throw in. Short hops the catcher offline.
So that run is charged to Matt Reynolds. Now it's a 4-2 game, and Tony will bat with 2 out and nobody on. Josh tonight has grounded out twice. 0 for 4 in this series. And he grounds another one, this one for the second baseman LeMahieu, and that retires the side. Mets get a little closer, double by Valdespin. He comes in to score. 4-2 Rockies going to the 8th.
Something else, I tell you.
Robert Carson was just called up today by the Mets with Jeremy Hefner going on the paternity list. Carson, who was up with the Mets earlier this year, has pitched in 2 games.
Well, the first game it was in Toronto where he had a scoreless inning, but then he got touched up the one outing here at City and then was shipped right out.
He's pitched both at Binghamton and Buffalo this year and been very good in both places. ERA is under 2 in both spots. Carson, considered a big part of the future in the Mets bullpen. 23 years old from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. He'll face the top of the batting order for the Rockies in the 8th. Charlie Blackmon had a bloop single to drive in a run in the 6th inning. That gave the Rockies the lead, and they've been in front ever since. It was Blackman's first hit of the season, and he takes a strike. Chris Young throws 95 pitches over 7 innings. He allowed 5 hits, 4 runs, only 2 were earned, 1 intentional walk, and 9 strikeouts, a season high.
How many pitches did he throw?
95 pitches. Slapped over the bag, a fair ball down the left field line. It sticks under the tarp, and Blackmon will easily go to second base. And Valdespin is trying to sell that it's out of play. It's not.
Valdespin's a piece of work.
I mean, go pick up the ball.
Well, right down the line. Nothing David can do right there. Right over the bag. And let's check it out. Oh,
unless that ball disappears, it's not out of play. And the ball is clearly visible.
What's he doing? I've seen everything tonight.
No impact on the play. Blackmon was going to have a double anyway. So now Jordan Pacheco, the batter, with a runner at second and nobody out. Pacheco's been up 3 times and struck out all 3. Now trying to avoid the dreaded golden sombrero.
Interesting that Jim Tracy would not put a bunt on right now, even though Pacheco's hitting .308. Everybody's been playing kind of conservatively this series.
Probably because there's a lefty on the mound.
Probably, and Pacheco's hitting .308, and they're at the point. Where's their season going? They might as well take a look at these kids, see what they can do. I think the Mets are in the same boat.
Dexter Fowler on deck. Pacheco's played most of the third base for the Rockies this year, at least since the middle of May. Was not playing regularly when the Mets saw the Rockies in late April at Coors Field. Mets won 2 out of 3 in that series. Almost everything has changed about this Rockies team since that first time around. They've had 6 starting pitchers go on the disabled list. They've lost their best player in Tulowitzki. Carlos Gonzalez has missed the first 2 games of this series, although he'll be back tomorrow from the bereavement list. 2-1 to Pacheco, and it's inside from Carson. 3-1.
Very funny how the advancement of the bereavement list. I just don't think I would have been allowed to go home for my grandfather or my grandmother. I'm not saying it's one way or the other, but things have changed.
Carson not bugged. Ground ball behind the bag at second. Nice play by Murphy, and the jumping toss to get him. Beautifully done by Murphy to get Pacheco for the first out as Blackmon goes to third.
Well, as you would say, Gary, a productive out. That's the least of what you want to do as a hitter. One, obviously, is hit the ball the other way, drive in the run, continue the rally, and second best is getting him over.
Bobby Parnell on call in the Mets bullpen as Dan Warthen talks it over with Carson about Dexter Fowler, who's a switch hitter. Fowler drove in a run with a base hit his last time up. He's gone 1 for 3 on the day. And the Mets are going to bring the infield in. Already down 4-2 in this game. And Rich Dower talking it over with Fowler about whether they might try a squeeze play in this spot. Fowler, a pretty good bunter. He saw Matt Belisle up in the bullpen. He was in for the Rockies last night. If you have 9 relief pitchers, you wouldn't think that anybody would pitch 2 days in a row.
No.
But Belisle is getting ready nonetheless.
I wouldn't think with 7 relief pitchers that you can run out of pitchers like Davey Johnson did almost last night in an extra inning ball game.
Well, you remember when the Mets played the 20-inning game in St. Louis, the Cardinals and Tony La Russa wound up using 2 different position players on the mound.
When you start getting 20 innings, oh, look at Washington. That is really a statement. If they can come out and win the first 2, my goodness.
Jesus Flores with the home run, just his 4th of the year, off Paul Maholm to make it 4-0. Ground ball toward the hole, passed right for a base hit. Blackmon's in to score. So Fowler with a hit against the drawn-in infield drives in his 2nd run of the night. It's 5-2 Colorado.
Well, that's the problem with the infield end, but you got to bring it in here, and just right in the hole there, just between. You couldn't have put it more perfectly, placed it more perfectly.
So with the right-hand hitter Hernandez coming up, Mets will make a double switch. Scott Hairston coming into the game, as will Bobby Parnell. 5-2 Colorado in the 8th. We'll be right back to Citi Field. Ninth, Jordany Valdespin moves to center field from left, and Bobby Parnell will pitch and bat 7th as Torres comes out of the game.
Well, Bobby, since Francisco's been back, is back into his familiar digs in that 8th inning role. Although here it is it's getting some work with the Mets behind.
Last 5 outings, 4 1/3 innings, only 1 hit allowed by Parnell. Ramon Hernandez, the batter, with a runner at first, and he fouls one back. Bobby pitched Sunday in Washington, got 3 straight ground ball outs. Hernandez tonight 0 for 2 and a sacrifice fly. Rockies scored 4 runs in the 6th against Chris Young, 2 of them unearned. They've added a run here in the 8th. Terry Collins was ejected earlier as a call was reversed on a rundown play where Torres was tagged out. Turned out to be the right call, but Mets have had enough reversals and non-reversals go against them that Terry figured it was time to get himself run, and he did. Not to mention bracelets being snipped, glove insignias being covered.
Saw that.
And all manner of gamesmanship from umpires and opposing managers. By the way, you weren't there in Washington when Davey cajoled the umpires to get Santana's gold glove insignia covered. Have you ever seen that happen before?
Davey did it in the playoffs against the Dodgers, if you recall, with the not on the glove, but we had the pine tar on
Jay Howell.
Jay Howell.
Right.
So Davey's done that before. So what does that tell me? The commissioner's office has got to tell Rawlings no more gold labels.
But it's not like Santana's the first pitcher to win a gold glove and wear his gold glove label.
I understand.
You know, Davies told the umpires it's shining in my eyes. Come on. Don't the umpires at that point have some discretion to say, you know, this isn't the first guy to win a Gold Glove as a pitcher? I mean, what did Greg Maddux do for all those years?
I agree, and Davey loves to push the envelope in that regard, and the umpires could have very well told him, we're not doing it.
And I think that's the kind of stuff that Terry's a little tired of, because it seems as though that stuff gets shoved in the Mets' faces more often than not. Going back to the Dickey bracelets as well.
When I was playing and before me, it was very much enforced with pitchers not being able to wear jewelry, particularly around the neck or even on the arms.
To the right side and through the hole, a base hit for Hernandez. Stopping at second is Fowler, and so Parnell with the breaking ball gives up the 2-strike hit.
Well, there it is right there, and I got a glove like that, but I'm not a pitcher. When I wore this was been going on since the 80s, and it's very nice, but I can see Davies' point. I can see your point, Gary. It's a little picky, but it just tells me right now that baseball's got to tell Rawlings you can't do that anymore. If what's good for one is good for all, if you're going to enforce that and that's a distraction, then you can't have that label on the gloves anymore.
If it really is a distraction, I think it's up to the commissioner's office to say whether it is or not. And that's the problem. It's the selective enforcement, and that's what Terry was talking about in Cincinnati when Dickey had those 2 little strips of friendship bracelet cut off by the umpires, and on the same day Felix Hernandez threw the perfect game, and he's got this big thick bracelet on his wrist underneath his glove.
Agreed. And R.A. handled it well, and Jim Joyce handled it well, and Jim Joyce said it plainly. Look, I don't care if you pitched with it for 25 years. There's a rule. This crew, we saw it. We're enforcing it. And R.A. handled it well, and I don't think it bothered him.
I don't think it bothered him the first time when they told him to cut it off, but the next inning when Joyce came in to explain it further, I think he felt was something of a distraction. There was no point at that point. He was, he'd already accepted it and had moved on.
Right, and there's no sheen. It's kind of like a matte surface for the hitter. It's the jewelry that can reflect in the sun, that can reflect in the lights, and that should be enforced. And it hasn't been enforced. A lot of these guys are wearing all these necklaces. What's good for one is good for all.
And the titanium necklaces. Swing and a miss. 2-2 to Colvin.
Well, you got those rope ones too with different colors. I mean, come on, get them off. Is that Joe Torre's field right there?
I don't know if that's his call or not. He does, discipline and stuff like that. But there's got to be somebody in the commissioner's office who's in charge of such things, and all you're asking for is uniformity so everybody knows where they stand. Inside, the full count to Colvin, 3-2. And we're not privy to the internal discussions, but I would imagine that there was conversation among the powers that be and the umpires after those couple of incidents to try and iron out what's acceptable and what's not. 3-2 with 1 out. Fowler dancing off second, and he's going. Grounded down the first baseline, a foul ball. Well, when the three of us are in the booth, generally, Ronnie sits in the middle and Keith sits over there against the wall. But you've moved significantly in this direction tonight.
Well, Ronnie's got his monitor right here, and he can look over it, and he's very clever. I'll tell you what, he must have learned this at Yale. He's got his thing down here, our little talkback box right here, that we can communicate to the truck. Mine's right here. Ronnie has one underneath where his feet is. It's not there now. But I like the view of being able to look over. It's very good. I'm over here because I do the telestrating on this monitor right here, which I very seldom do. I'm very lazy. So here's my monitor right here. That's the back side of it. So
you just telestrated the telestrator. I don't think that's ever been done before.
It's false hustle.
Again, the runner's going on the 3-2. It's slashed to third. White is right on the bag, and he turns the double play. Well, talk about fortuitous. With the runners going, White was covering the bag, and that's right where Colvin hit it for the 5-5-3 double play that gets the Mets through the top of the 8th. 5-2 Colorado.
Tomorrow here at Citi Field, and 6:30 the coverage on SNY. In that start, it'll be Matt Harvey here at home, and Harvey worked his bullpen, and I asked him exactly what he got out of that. Was there something specific that he worked in that? He said, well, I'm trying to kind of find my curveball again. I lost it there temporarily. Felt like I had a pretty good one my last time out. Believe it or not, the seams of the baseball are a little bit different when you get to this level. They're a little looser. They're maybe a little bit higher in the minor leagues, but a little tighter here. I like it better, but just change the release point ever so slightly. So I'm just trying to get a feel for that to continue to use that as a weapon. And he said the only other thing really that has been added, and pretty much Dan Worthen let him roll with his normal routine, just a little balance exercise. He said, and that's helped him. He said, occasionally I'll get out in front of my body and I try to catch myself. So what Dan has done is just early on in his bullpen session, when he starts the windup, basically when his knee kicks up, he just pauses there for a minute with his leg in the air and then continues the delivery. He said he does that 5 or 6 times. It really helps just with the body control. So look for the curveball. Look for that tomorrow, guys.
Well, his last start in Cincinnati, I thought, was his best to date. He was dominant in Arizona that first start, but he was more of a pitcher in Cincinnati against a very good team.
Yes, a very good lineup.
Scott Hairston up for the first time facing Matt Belisle. Hairston 0 for 3 last night, but he's been swinging a hot bat lately. Came in to play left field in a double switch in the last half inning. And he lines one into left field for a base hit. So another bullet off the bat of Scott Hairston.
He has just really had one fine season so far.
As your Mets box score brought to you by New York Community Bank. Ruben Tejada with a couple of hits. Daniel Murphy and Andres Torres have the 2 RBIs, each on sacrifice flies. Now Mike Baxter has gone 0 for 3 in the leadoff spot tonight. Grounded out, popped up, flied out, and he fouls off the first pitch from Belisle.
And Baxter, Mike, just hasn't really been able, since coming off the DL, really hasn't found his rhythm. Be out for so long and then to come back and spot play, it's difficult.
Fastball away, a ball and a strike. Ruben Tejada, who has 2 hits tonight, waiting on deck. And Belisle just missing, 2-1. 32-year-old Matt Belisle, he's been around the block. This Rockies bullpen is very large with 9 guys in that pen. As Baxter pops one up in foul ground, and that one will go out of play. Their starting pitching has been dreadful this year, although it certainly hasn't seemed that way in this series. But because of the 75 pitch limit since June, the Rockies bullpen has got an enormous amount of work. And if you had to look for a bright spot in their season, it's been that they've been able to hold up their end. Rex Brothers, who was so impressive last night, up again in the Colorado pen. Hairston at first and nobody out.
Baxter choking up.
Into left center. Over comes Fowler, and he makes the running catch. Back to first goes Hairston, 1 away.
Well, we talked to you earlier, and I see how the label's down here. Now watch when he makes contact. Oh boy. And that's a Louisville slugger, too. That's interesting. And that's the fact that he's got the label facing on contact. Also, like David. Can't do that.
We had David with the other side of the bat, the back side of the bat.
Right, he had his label facing.
Right. Hit the ball right off the label.
Wow. I'm stunned.
Here's Tejada with 1 out and 1 on. Ruben twice a single to left tonight. Double play ball. Herrera takes it to the bag and completes the 6-6-3 double play to end the inning. So Belisle pitches a scoreless 8th. We go to the 9th, 5-2 Colorado. Chris Young to start the night, but the Rockies scored 4 in the 6th, and they've been ahead ever since.
Well, 2 of those 4 runs were unearned. Throwing error by Chris Young on a bunt kind of opened the floodgates.
Bobby Parnell got the last 2 outs in the 8th, stays on for the 9th to face Andrew Brown, who takes a breaking ball for a strike. Brown is grounded out, flied out, and struck out. Also contributed by throwing Ruben Tejada out at the plate tonight. And he slashes one foul back into the screen, 0-2. DJ LeMahieu on deck, Jonathan Herrera behind him, as the Rockies try to make it 2 for 2 against the Mets in this series and try to win at Citi Field for the 6th straight time. Remember last year the Rockies came here early in the season and swept a 4-game series. That was the series Troy Tulowitzki really went off. Will Tulo have 3 home runs, 4 home runs in that 4-game series? Josh Edgin up in the bullpen for the Mets.
His final home run, if I recall, was a line drive right down that right field line, just inside that pole down there.
In that corner.
Yes.
Just off the plate. 98 from Parnell, 2-2 to Brown. Well, Chris Young was plagued by that one bad inning tonight. Gave up just the 2 earned runs in 7 innings, but right now that's enough to beat him, unless the Mets can rally in the bottom of the 9th. Over the bag, fair ball, and it goes down the line. Stops at the jutting stands, and Brown goes to second. So Brown with a late swing, hitting it right over the bag for a 2-base hit.
Well, inside out, let me see, right down the middle. Yeah, it's an inside out big time. Right down the line.
It's Jerry Rafferty's song.
You got it. The umpire get out of the way.
Didn't quite get out of the way.
No.
If he had dived, would have dived right into Gary Cederstrom.
Move, guys.
So a runner at second with nobody out. 9 hits now for the Rockies. Here's DJ LeMahieu, who's 1 for 3. He broke up the perfect game for Chris Young, and he's looking to bunt now. Parnell's play is to first. 1-3 on the sacrifice, moving Brown to second. Well, as we said, the Rockies didn't have a base runner for the first 5, but they got a couple of men on, a sacrifice bunt that led to a run. Charlie Blackmon with his first hit of the year, driving one in there, and then Dexter Fowler took over. He had an RBI single in the 6th, and Fowler came up again in the 8th, and again drove in a run with a base hit, as the Rockies pull away for a 5-2 lead. Now the Mets have to bring the infield in for what seems like the umpteenth time in the last 4 innings. Jonathan Herrera, the batter. Watch out for the squeeze with him at the plate. And Herrera takes a strike for Parnell. Herrera had a hit-run single in that big 6th inning. Then he was intentionally walked in the 7th. That series Tulowitzki had last year. 4-game series, he went 10 for 16 with 4 homers and 8 RBIs. As the Rockies swept 4 from the Mets. Ground ball down to Davis. Play at the plate. And now they've got Brown in the rundown.
And nobody covering the plate. And the ball gets away.
Oh, man,
a horrible play by the Mets. Totally gave it up, and there was nobody behind him. Parnell and Davis tried to get there. And as Davis tried to take that throw from right, the ball trickled away and the run scores.
Now you notice Murphy's covering the bag. Just Davis is getting there late. Parnell is there. Now watch Murph. He's going to cover first. Ike's got to come in.
Well, the problem is that Parnell, Ike, and Murphy were all moving toward first base.
Parnell's way late coming in. You never want a pitcher involved. Ike does the right thing, is cutting in front of the pitcher, but Parnell's got to be there so much quicker. And this has just been a horrific game.
And then to compound it, the ball stuck in Wright's gloves as he tried to pull it out and make that futile toss. We'll wait to see how they score that debacle, but it's now 6-2. And now a ground ball down to third off the bat of Chris Nelson, pinch hitting, and he's thrown out by Wright for the second out.
David has a hard time getting the ball. The glove here. He's looking for the handle.
What kind of shot puts it?
He still had him with a good throw. Parnell late getting there. I mean, this is a game where a manager may call a meeting after the ball game and give his team a good chewing out.
Well, the manager has been sitting in his office since the 5th inning, presumably watching the game on TV, and he can't be happy with the pictures he's been seeing. Parnell exits. Edgin comes in. 6-2 Rockies in the 9th. We'll be right back. Well, as Bobby knows well, it's probably time for some PFP. Pitcher's fielding practice. Pitcher's defense hurt the Mets last night, and it's hurt the Mets again tonight. Josh Edgin, who committed that error last night, comes in to pitch to Charlie Blackmon and throws a strike.
Infield end right here. Parnell's first reaction is going to be cover first on the ground ball. Okay, he didn't really break. Now he's got to know it's going home. He's late. Ike has to, after the throw comes in, and then the compound things, David not being able to get the ball out of his hand with a later throw. Ike has to make the play as the runner's sliding. As if David has the exchange quickly, gets the ball to Ike quicker, the play is completed. But fault lies on Parnell right there that they're not covering.
Edgin, who committed the error last night and wound up taking the loss as a result, comes in here to try and get Blackmon to get through the top of the 9th. Blackmon 2 for 4 on the night, and he grounds this one for Murphy to handle. And that retires the side. So Edgin gets the final out of the inning, but the Rockies tack on a run and lead 6-2 going to the bottom of the 9th. To help the Stamford American Little League Challenger program, the latest recipient of the SNY Play Bowl Award. The great help make their field more accessible for children with special needs. You can see more of their story and those of past recipients at sny.tv/playball. Coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night, the only show that's only New York sports. The Jets practicing in their home stadium. The Giants making changes in the backfield, and the Nets owner has some things to say. Geico Sports Night tonight after the postgame only on SNY. Rex Brothers, who was very impressive last night, will try and close this game out for Colorado.
Well, he's a hard thrower, and he came in last night and took care of business. In an inning and a third, struck out 2.
Mike Davis leads off the last of the ninth and hits one out to left. On comes Brown to make the catch. One pitch and one out. By the way, on the play in the top of the ninth, first, let's look at some good defense in this game.
Well,
David Wright making a bid.
Fowler just takes away the home run right here. That ball would have been out. Made it look easy. And again, David, base hit here. Strong throw from Andrew Brown. Perfect one hop right to the catcher. Throws out to Hada.
On the other end of the spectrum was the play the Mets failed to make in the top of the ninth inning, and despite what you might expect, there's no way that the scorer can give an error on that play, so he simply scored it a fielder's choice and an RBI
to boot.
An RBI, believe it or not, for Jonathan Herrera, bringing Andrew Brown home on what should have been the simplest of plays. But the way the scoring rules are written, you can't charge an error for slow play, which is basically what transpired there. I guess you could probably make the argument that Wright could be charged with an error because he couldn't get the ball out of his glove, but the problem was there really wasn't anybody to throw to until the last moment. So I guess that's why they scored it a fielder's choice and not an error. You buy that?
The rules are the rules, Gary. I always go by the rules. I just know what it means. It all adds up to sloppy play.
Little pop up on the right side, and LeMahieu, the second baseman's got it 2 out. I guess there's justice in that because Parnell messed up, and because there's no error, he gets charged with an earned run. There, your Empire City Casino fantasy leaders. Andrew McCutcheon's lead is slipping.
What happens if Cabrera all of a sudden?
Well, if
he's suspended, he's going to get the batting title.
If McCutcheon falters and finishes below Melky, Melky wins the batting title. Melky had 501 plate appearances, one shy of what you need to qualify, but all you have to do is tack on an at bat. He finishes at 346, and voila, he would be the batting champ.
He won't get one.
Sorry?
You said he needs one at bat?
Well, he doesn't. What they do is if you're a one shy, they put an 0 for 1 on your record to calculate your final batting average, and if you still are ahead of everybody else, you qualify. Tony Gwynn once won a batting title that way. Fell a number of plate appearances shy of the requirement, and they added the requisite 0 for, and he still was ahead, so he won the batting title.
Never heard of that.
Yep. You learn something every day. Daniel Murphy's driven in a run tonight with a sacrifice fly. So, for instance, if you have 490 plate appearances, if you're 12
right,
shot, they take your batting average, add 0 for 12 to it, see what your average would be then, and if you're still ahead of everybody else, you win.
They're going to do that for.
Yeah, they have no choice. There's no provision to strip him of the batting title just because he's suspended.
Wow.
Now, might they change the rules down the road on that? Who knows? Mets down to their final strike of the night, and Murphy strikes out. Hernandez trying to find the ball and makes the play, and the ball game is over. So the Rockies take care of the Mets for the second straight night. One bad inning dooms Chris Young after he went 5 perfect innings, and the Rockies dropped the Mets to 9 games under 500, their low mark for the year.
Well, one bad inning, Garrett, yes, and he was a culprit in that with the bad throw, but just really, this was the worst ball game the Mets have played this year. Fundamentally, they made so many bad plays today. They really didn't deserve this win. The Rockies come in here like the 27 Yanks.
City game summary. Jalees Chassin comes off the disabled list to get his first win of the year as the Rockies win it 6-2. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by City, proud sponsor of the New York Mets. By Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. By your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. By Premium Rush in theaters August 24th. By Acura, Advance. And by Pepsi Max. Go to A&P, Pathmark, or Waldbaum's and find the Pepsi display for details on how to win Mets tickets and a party in the Pepsi porch. Rockies win it tonight 6-2. They've taken the first two of this 4-game series. Tomorrow night, Matt Harvey pitches for the Mets against Jeff Francis. Our coverage begins tomorrow night on SNY at 6:30. Now for Keith Hernandez, Kevin Burkhardt, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. Time for WB Mason post-game live. Let's join Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda in the studio. Guys?